when an individual, a child, even a 4-year-old child, makes a benign attribution in such an ambiguous case, that child is not very likely to then retaliate aggressively. But when that same child makes a hostile attribution about the other's intent, given the very same stimulus, that child is very likely to aggressively retaliate, tripling the probability of aggressive behavior. So this tight relation between attributing intent, hostile intent to other, and retaliating aggressively is one that's at the core of this defensive processing pattern. All right? Chronically aggressive children demonstrate chronic defensive processing. So we've done a number of studies in which we identify chronically aggressive children, whether they're in a clinic, psychological clinic, or whether they're nominated by teachers or observed directly on the playground as who's behaving more aggressively, or rated by their parents, or whatever it might be. We bring them into the lab, compare them to matched control peers, and lo and behold, they demonstrate chronic defensive processing patterns in all of these cases: hypervigilance, hostile attributional bias, aggressive response toleration, aggressive response evaluation. All right, we've examined this pattern of hostile attributional bias and aggressive behavior worldwide. So ongoing now is a study at our center called Parenting Across Cultures, that Jennifer Lansford leads, which we're collecting longitudinal data on children in 14 different cultures across the world. Some of them are listed on the right there, far from places like Kenya, Jordan, Italy, Thailand, Colombia, Philippines, and Durham. And then we find that every one of these cultures, this same type relation between an attribution and the probability of aggressively retaliating in response to an ambiguous provocation. When a child, these children began when they were 8 years old, 1,400 of them, when they made an attribution of a benign intent, they're not likely to retaliate. When they make a more hostile attribution, they are more likely to retaliate. Now, these 14 different cultures across the world differ by a lot in their base rates of aggressive behavior problems. Right? Some cultures have more aggressive behavior problem children than others. We find that we can actually account for those differences by understanding these patterns of hostile attributional bias. So, culture differences in the tendency to attribute hostile intent account for culture differences in children's aggressive behavior problem rates. All right? So on the left, our graph, the hostile attributional bias score for each culture. On the right is their rate of aggressive behavior problems in that same culture. You can see that the highest group in terms of the same measure of our hostile attributional bias score was children in Kisumu, Kenya, and they also have the highest rate of aggressive behavior problems. Likewise, the lowest rate are children in Trollhättan, Sweden, and they have the lowest rate of aggressive behavior problems. All right. So again, tight correlation there.